Hello and welcome to Errata, the follow-up to the 7 Deadly Trading Card Game Sins, where we look at additional elements of game design. Timmy, Johnny, and Spike was the title of a 2013 article written by Magic the Gathering lead designer Mark Rosewater, discussing some internal terminology used by the development team in reference to the people who play their game. This player taxonomy, as we will call it from now on, was made in an effort to put a name to the most common types of players card games tend to attract. It's a helpful system, but I find a lot of the terminology to be a bit squidgy. For example, it says things like, Timmys enjoy having fun. Well, last time I checked, everybody enjoyed having fun. Fun is an incredibly subjective concept, and the taxonomy would be better served with more helpful terminology, or at least a bit of a perspective shift regarding the word fun. Instead, using the term in a broader sense to ask, what do each of these types of players find fun? In the case of our earlier example, Timmys prefer casual play might be a more helpful description. So that's what we're going to look at today, what the terms mean, how it can be improved and better understood, as well as a fourth type of player that I think needs to be included in this taxonomy. So to put our characters in the simplest terms, Timmys enjoy spectacle, Johnnies enjoy gameplay, and Spikes enjoy winning. These character descriptions aren't absolute, as most players exist on a spectrum of these, and is more a question of priorities. I mean, everybody enjoys winning, just like everybody enjoys having fun, but Spikes enjoy winning above everything else. There's a lot of overlap with these two. Timmys and Johnnies both enjoy the vibrant and low-stakes environment of casual play, and Timmys and Spikes both like the prestige of owning premium special treatment cards. This taxonomy is useful for game design because it informs the types of players who get into card games and the things these players are often looking for. As a result, they can frequently be good springboards for cards or archetypes to get made. So let's start with the Timmy, since I'm insisting on throwing away the term used most often to describe them. In my words, Timmys enjoy spectacle. These are things like cards with flashy artwork, big numbers, and powerful effects regardless of practicality. Timmys tend to make decks based on cards they find more viscerally appealing, and enjoy playing against those with matching skill levels and similarly haphazard decks, like with friends or participating in leagues rather than tournaments. Timmy cards aren't just the ones with the biggest numbers or the shiniest foils, but things that are a smidge more intangible, like popular or recurring characters in world building, as well as just having a good sense of humor and strong aesthetic design. Not to say that Timmys are just a bunch of children who enjoy shiny objects. They are a fanatical and dedicated bunch, willing to take big risks and playing until the final turn because they know that the card on the top of their deck is what will turn everything around. A real heart of the card sort of player who gets the biggest rush from mounting a comeback and top decking what they need to win, where landing that final hit means more to them than the route it took to get there. Not to mention, Timmys are also by far the largest part of the card-buying public, so infantilizing the entire group maybe isn't the best thing to do. Though, to be fair, a lot of Timmys are literal children, more interested in collecting cards based on their favorite characters than trying to win any sort of tournament. However, this is where hefty focus on art and aesthetic design tends to pay off, as a slick look will be hugely attractive to this crowd. Moving on, while Timmys tend to look at the pictures and numbers on your cards, Johnnies are paying attention to everything else. Johnnies are the alchemists of your player base, and your cards are their reagents. Johnnies are huge about getting into the nitty-gritty when it comes to the rules and card text, sniffing out interesting mechanics and interactions, and often the ones who ask about timing, priority, and if they are allowed to combine these things together. To a Johnny, a good day is when they find a set of cards and mechanics that work together in a way that might not seem intentional to the game's designers, where they can really put their stamp onto something, and where balancing the various upsides and downsides of a set of cards is part of the fun. Johnnies are also very astute when it comes to testing and design. They're usually the ones who look at a card with an upside and a downside, then ask why the card has two upsides. Johnnies also love sealed and draft play. The limitations of the format gives them a fresh puzzle to work out each time, where knowledge and awareness of mechanics pay off. Now, of course, Johnnies love it when they come across a unique strategy that works surprisingly well, but it's more that element of expression that sets a Johnny apart from the Spike. Johnnies are often the type to chafe against what's meta, often developing rogue strategies or using cards others have dismissed as useless, though it is not at all uncommon for Spikes to adopt a powerful strategy that a Johnny might discover.
Think for a moment about the concept of the flamethrower. At some point, some person said to himself, "Gee, I sure would like to set those people on fire over there." Well, it might have ended right there, but he mentioned it to his friend. And about a month later, he was back. "Hey, quite a concept." And of course, the army heard about it, and they came around. "We'd like to buy about 500,000 of them, please."
Like TIMMYS, Johnnies also enjoy the vibrant space of casual play, though they tend to be more interested in the building process than actually playing, but you can pretty much guarantee any rogue decks out there in the tournament scene are being wielded by Johnnies. Spikes may be the ones focused on winning tournaments, but people always cheer for a Johnny that gets to the top brackets. Speaking of spikes, like I said before, spikes are all about winning, finding the best strategies and being the best like no one ever was. Expression is less important to them than their demonstration of mastery. To them, using the best, strongest, and most economical and effective cards is just plain old common sense. If Johnnies are the ones who discover strategies, spikes are the ones honing them to a fine razor's edge, tweaking deck ratios and figuring out how to make them consistent. Unlike Johnnies, spikes are more likely to consult outside resources to find out what is most effective, or meta, to the game in its current format. I can't help but think that this would be a hilarious way for games to make really funny cards with powerful effects so all these dead serious Spike players can be all like,
"Hey guys, it's BMO, and while we all know the card getting top billing in the upcoming Shadow of Duelist Raider set is the amazing Goo Goo Gaga, which is a 1-card extra deck play into the amazing Goo Goo Go Giga Gaga Gigo, the entire Goo Goo archetype has loads of powerful kit. Like, on turn 1, you should open with Weeing Yourself. Weeing Yourself at the start of the game is such a power move, I'm surprised it isn't banned. You should be Weeing Yourself as much as possible on every turn you can, and if your opponent tries to stop you, you can just unleash your secret weapon, crying really loud until they stop.
Actually, I can't help but wonder if this is what Performapals were all about. Anyway, spikes are the ones who eye efficiency and win conditions beyond anything else. Not to say they are purely about the thrill of victory. As I detailed earlier, anything that generates a sense of prestige also appeals to the spikes, such as premium versions of competitive cards which they can use to make their meta decks flashier than their competition. As a result, Timmy cards and Spike cards tend to be the most highly coveted and pricey. This is also why things such as banned and restricted lists exist, because if Spikes find a strategy that just works better than every other one out there, every single Spike will be trying to build that deck, creating a variety wasteland with mirror matches up the wazoo. Look into Teledad and Zodiacs to see how this can negatively affect a game, as even Spikes get tired of seeing the same deck over and over again. So make sure your Spike cards have a decent distribution around your game's attributes to produce a healthy meta. Spikes do tend to be a bit on the snobby side thanks to their serious business nature, but they all remember that time a Timmy got that impossible card to go off perfectly against them. So, to review, Timmys are the ones who buy into your game because they think it's cool, Johnnies bring your game to life by figuring out how all the pieces go together, and Spikes bring your game prestige by showcasing the highest levels of play. All of them serve a role that benefits your game. But what about that fourth type of player I was talking about before? The one that genuinely doesn't fit into any of the above categories? Well, I think it's time to unveil my proposal, and to avoid offending anybody, I'm just going to refer to him as the Jimothy. The Jimothy can't explain what a planeswalker is, never pronounces the word Pokemon correctly, and genuinely does not know what Pot of Greed does. Then again, the Jimothy doesn't exactly care to know, because they're not in this for the experience of the gameplay, they're in this for the money. Yup. Sealed product, slabbed cards, and speculative buying are all the realm of the Jimothy. Trading cards are just another market for them to watch and profit off of. Any card, regardless of its effect, becomes the target of the Jimothy if it rises in prominence. However, the Jimothy isn't the type to just sit there and let the value of cards dictate themselves. They often use tricks to manipulate the value of their collections. This can involve hyping up a game to increase the value of their product, or saying that a game is on its way out to force a price dip that they can buy on. A bit of Jimothy hype can be beneficial, as most TCGs run on having a sense of value to their cards, but be careful, as Jimothys have a nasty habit of hyping a game far beyond what it can deliver on. Jimothys rose in prominence in the last couple of years, with people obsessing over how much cards are worth rather than what effect they have in the actual game. These are the folks who triggered the big panic buying in 2020 and 2021, where shelves were stripped bare through a combination of scalping and misplaced hype. I've pointed out this little documentary before, but it's worth mentioning the follow-up to that video, which is all about the effect Jimothies have had on the retro video game market. Not to say Jimothies are all just a bunch of crypto bros using cards as their new stonks. Many store owners are a form of Jimothy, which is why my previous Errata text talked about organized play as a business transaction. These sorts of Jimothies are how the secondary market stays flowing, and it is as much in their interest that a game remains healthy as it is for its value to increase, unlike the pump and dump type Jimothies. So if I want to really say that Jimothy should be added to the player taxonomy despite the fact that they don't really play the game, let's consult my list from before. TIMMYS buy your game because they think it's cool, Johnny's bring your game to life through gameplay, Spikes bring prestige by showcasing the highest level of play, and Jimothies maintain the marketplace. Jimothies, at least the non-toxic ones, tend to have their interests in getting cards that are in demand into circulation to make their money. Wise men say a game cannot survive without a secondary market, and that's what Jimothies are for. So yeah, that's a look at the TCG player taxonomy. Not only do these players have different tastes that your game design should keep in mind, they all serve a different role in keeping your game healthy and balanced. Keep these things in mind, and you too can build a better game. Join us next time on Errata Text. Okay guys, it's here. We finally have a little bit of official Kodak 7 Deadly Sins merch. You can get some t-shirts featuring my amazing face, a poster featuring the 7 Deadly Sins themselves, merchandise depicting the legend, and even merchandise based on the brand new Goo Goo Gaga that I designed especially for this video. Hopefully this will be the beginning of new things to come. Check out my Teespring in the description, and until next time, this is Kodak signing off.